guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing another theory video and I'm going to be discussing Daenerys Targaryen and possible marriage candidates for when she comes to Westeros. I think it is clear by now that Dany will be marrying someone when she lands in the Seven Kingdoms. It has without question been alluded to continually throughout the show and the books. Her first major plotline was a political marriage with Khal Drogo, and in the season 6 finale we saw her pass aside Daario so she could go to the Seven Kingdoms unencumbered so that she could marry, and she even admitted to herself and to Daario that she probably will have to marry someone. Now, I think there are many possible candidates that she could end up with, kind of some more likely than others. I have two main ones I want to talk about, and then a bunch of others I'm kind of going to just briefly touch on. But I think it's really important to see why she would marry them, and not just that, why they might marry her. So, yeah, let's just jump right in. If you do have any questions, comments, requests, or you want to discuss theories with me, do comment below. And as always, please like and subscribe if you do enjoy this channel and my videos, and yeah, let's go. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the most obvious one, and this is Jon Snow. So there are many reasons this could happen. This has been spoken about for years, the idea that she will eventually marry the only Targaryen left in the world. Well, the only known Targaryen left in the world. There's this whole idea that Dany and Jon are a song of ice and fire. You know, Jon is a half Stark, Dany is Targaryen, ice, fire, together. However, I personally think A Song of Ice and Fire alludes just to Jon because he's half Stark, half Targaryen, so I don't agree with that line of thought in them marrying, but there are many other reasons that I can see it happening. There is Rhaegar's prophecy of the 3 heads of the dragon, and Dany has 3 dragons. She is the rider of one, she needs 2 others, and Jon could easily be one of those, knowing he is half Targaryen. So a lot of prophecies and ideas, such again as the prince that was promised, it is a gender-neutral term and could refer to both Dany and Jon. Or it could refer to Jon being Azor Ahai and forging Lightbringer through Dany. So there are many prophetic reasons this alliance may happen, and many kind of storylines that would work with this alliance happening. And now I want to go a little bit into the reasoning behind both characters' motivations to marry the other. So Dany is coming to Westeros. She has the support of Dorne and the Tyrells. That is great, much more than she could have hoped for. She has Cersei to deal with. I don't think she's going to struggle too much there. I think that that will be kind of one of the big battles at the start of season 7, and I think that she will actually be okay dealing with Cersei. However, I think she's going to struggle a lot more if she wants to conquer the North. In the finale, we saw Jon take his place as king in the North, meaning he wants and is being pushed by all of these lords to have an independent North. He doesn't want to stay part of the Seven Kingdoms. This whole northern kind of group of people, Jon and all of the major lords, want the idea that Robb had, that the North would again be ruled by the Kings of Winter. So I think Jon is being pushed in this sense that he can't really back down from the idea of ruling the North as king. This puts him in charge of a very powerful territory and a very large territory. The North is bigger than the other 6 kingdoms combined, and Jon now has that power as king in the North. So I think that Dany is definitely going to see him as a threat or a potential ally. I mean, the North is a really important strategic place to hold as well. You don't particularly want to be ruling 6 kingdoms and then have this huge kind of independent land right above you. And I think that Dany knows, and Tyrion will counsel her, that it would be very hard to conquer the North through an army. I mean, Jon has all of the Northern Lords, he has the support of the Wildlings, possibly the support of the Eyrie, he has the stronghold of Winterfell. And Dany is bringing over soldiers who aren't accustomed to fighting in the winter and the snow and the ice as the northern soldiers are. I mean, the Unsullied, the Dothraki, they are very used to sand, Essos, warm climates. You know, look at how they dress, for fuck's sake. They're not particularly going to be very good at fighting in the ice and the snow. Yes, she has her dragons, but they could encounter problems even if there is a large snowstorm, visibility, the cold, all these kind of things that make it seem that the writers are setting up that Dany isn't going to try and conquer the North. Rather, she's going to try and join with House Stark through a marriage alliance. Now, I think this is probably the most obvious one, and that lends me to think it won't happen, and a couple of seasons ago I would have said no way. However, the writers seem to be going in that direction. They seem to be pushing this idea that Jon is now in charge of the North, Dany will take control of the South, and they will have to join to unite the kingdoms, and more importantly, to fight the White Walkers. I mean, I don't think Jon particularly wants to be king. He seems happy in the North where he is. I don't think he wants to rule in the South, but I think that duty and his need to fight the White Walkers, and the fact he's always been so involved with this war against the White Walkers, I think he would marry Dany so that she would fight the White Walkers with him. I think that would be his motivation for marrying her. Again, I think the show is pushing that direction, and I think you can see clearly each character has motivations for entering this marriage alliance. Okay, and then we have my second opinion, who is my second kind of main candidate, is Jaime Lannister. Now, I know he killed her dad, which makes for a bit of an awkward conversation, but, you know, throughout the show, since Tyrion joined Dany, the writers have been making a real effort, in my opinion, to redeem Jaime in Dany's eyes. Tyrion says, you know, he's one of the only people I trust beside Varys. You know, he killed the king, Aerys, your father, to save the city. He didn't do it for selfish reasons. He did it to save hundreds and hundreds of people. And I think that Dany has kind of started to realise that Jaime did the right thing. I mean, Barristan explained to her about the Mad King, and Dany knows that her father was not a good man. We saw that when she was talking to Theon and Yara. You know, she said, she said our fathers were evil men, and then she's talked about how she knows what her father was. So I think that Dany has a lot less hatred towards Jaime now, knowing he killed this very evil man, and she's kind of become disillusioned with the picture that the Lannisters kind of took over her house with a noble king in charge. She knows he was a very bad ruler and a very evil man, and I think that it would be a very kind of good move for Dany. You know, if Cersei is taken care of by possibly Jaime killing her, as the prophecy suggests, or Dany taking her out, Tyrion killing her, I think that allying with Jaime would be really beneficial, because it would shore up the rest of the Southern Kingdoms without war. It would shore up the Westerlands, the Crown Lands, possibly the Stormlands. I'm not really sure who's in charge of them at the moment. The Riverlands, now that the Freys are dead, and Jaime and the Lannisters probably hold kind of reign over that area. So I think Dany would really shore up the rest of the Southern Kingdoms by marrying Jaime, and I think that Tyrion would counsel her towards marrying Jaime. It would mean his brother is king, though not really in charge. I do want to say that when Dany marries someone, I highly doubt they're going to be the person sat on the Iron Throne. I have no shadow of a doubt Dany will be sat on that throne, and her king will be there. He'll probably have some say, might be on the small council, but I highly doubt he'll be the one in charge. So I think that Tyrion would counsel Dany towards this, the idea that Jaime and him would be reunited. So I think it's very possible Jaime could be the actual choice instead of Jon, and I think it'd be really interesting to see that. There are a few kinks in this, however, that Dany may revert to the idea that she hates all the Lannisters bar Tyrion, and she may try and kill him. It may be that Jaime sides with Cersei, though doubtful. Did you see the side eye he gave her in the season finale? That aggression. I think as well that Jaime might die. I mean, you know, he might kill Cersei to save the city and then be so overconsumed with grief that he kills himself. This whole Cersei and Jaime love story has been pushed on us so much that I think Jaime would really struggle without Cersei in his life. So I think that, you know, Jaime might die. So, you know, it just kind of depends how they go with the Cersei plotline. I think for Dany to marry Jaime, the Cersei plotline would have to end in a certain way. Okay, now some other candidates who aren't as likely, and I just want to touch on each one briefly, but I wanted to mention them. Okay, so first of all we have Theon Greyjoy. Now this is highly unlikely in my eyes. He wants Iron Islands independence, he doesn't want to rule the Iron Islands, he is kind of already allied with Dany, and Yara said it was a pact without any marriage demands, so I think it's highly unlikely Theon will marry her. I mean, he doesn't really want to rule, he said he's not fit to be a ruler, so I think it's extremely unlikely. He can't make any children either. Now we have Robin of the Vale. Again, I really want to touch on this briefly because, let's be real, it's not going to happen. He's far too young for Dany, he's too sickly. I think that he wouldn't want to marry Dany, he's quite happy in the Vale, protected there, and he is very under Peter Baelish's thumb. I mean, we both know that Robin doesn't run the Vale, Peter Baelish does, so he's not really in any position of power, and yeah, I just don't see it happening. I could see Robin bending the knee to Dany, actually, if Baelish was out of the way, rather than going to war with her. No, but I thought I'd mention it because he's one of the few Great Lords left. And then we actually have Baelish himself. So this is kind of an interesting one to me. I mean, it would catapult him straight to the top. You know, he would be king. Not in charge, but he would now have this kind of position of some power. He would be king. However, we know Littlefinger wants to be sat on the Iron Throne. He doesn't just want to be kind of Dany's king with her sat on the Iron Throne. So I think that makes it less likely. However, he could use this as kind of a springboard to get more power. You know, marry Dany, take Dany out, take the Iron Throne, marry Sansa. All in a day's work. I think it would be difficult, however, for Peter to marry Dany, even if he wanted to. I mean, I think he's still very much in this idea that he will take the Iron Throne for himself and have Sansa by his side. But I think that even if he decided this was his best course of action, it's going to be a real struggle because of Tyrion. Tyrion knows what Littlefinger is. He knows what he is like. He knows that he would be a fool to trust him, and I think he will counsel Dany against Peter, and we see that Peter has declared for the Starks. So I think that you know, if Dany were to marry someone to kind of shore up the northern areas, it would be Jon rather than Peter. And I think, you know, that Jon could very much make it so that if he marries Dany, she gets the North and the Vale. So I think that makes Peter Baelish a little bit more insignificant to her. I think the main reason that Dany wouldn't marry Peter Baelish is because of Tyrion. Tyrion would be like, hell no, don't marry that guy. Should end up with a knife in your back. Okay, and then we have my last kind of idea. Again, I think this is really unlikely. This is Euron. Now, I think that they introduced Euron for a reason. I don't think we're done with his storyline. It would really surprise me if they didn't bring him back. I mean, he is now in charge of the Iron Islands, but Dany has sided with his enemy, Theon and Yara. So I think that Euron, in my mind, is probably going to ally with Cersei. I think he's going to come to her aid with all of these ships, and I think that's going to cause real issues for Dany in the King's Landing battle. I think Euron's going to ally with Cersei just because at the moment Dany's fight for King's Landing is way too easy. I mean, she needs a little bit of a challenge, and I think that Euron will provide that. So I think Euron is actually going to be her enemy, and that's not a likely marriage candidate. Also, Dany has already agreed with Theon and Yara that she'll help them kill him, so I don't think it's going to be happy endings there with Euron and Dany sat together. And we also know that Dany wouldn't marry him on the basis that she knows that he would just kill her for the Iron Throne. He doesn't want to marry her to be king. He wants to marry her and kill her to sit on the Iron Throne. So yeah, not gonna happen. So yeah, that's kind of all the candidates I wanted to speak about. I will say as well that I don't think Dany is gonna marry a minor lord. I think Dany knows, and Tyrion will counsel her, that she needs to marry someone who will shore up the kingdoms for her. You know, I think it'd be a bit useless if she were to marry, like, Randall Tarly's son. Like, yay, I've secured House Tarly. You know, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be someone really important like Jon or Jaime. I don't think it's going to be anybody who's really kind of not wielding a whole kingdom. I mean, it wouldn't really make any sense. And I think that, you know, Dany already has Dawn, the Reach, and the Iron Islands under her belt, and then the rest are either held by Jon and Peter or Jaime. So I think, you know, I think that's why it makes it so likely that she is gonna marry one of these guys, you know. I'm leaning more towards Jon now. I know it's really obvious, but it seems to be the way the show is going. But I don't know, I would prefer to see her with Jaime, just because I think it would be so cute. Dany as queen, Jaime as king, and Tyrion as hand. I think that would be so awesome. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, if you have any theories of your own about who Dany will marry, do comment below. I would love to hear them. And if you have any that I haven't heard of yet, let me know. I just want to quickly disclaim as well, this is for all of my videos, that unless I explicitly state the theory is mine, it means I didn't come up with it. I found it on social media and I just wanted to talk about it myself and add in my own view on it and my own opinions. So I'm not trying to steal anything from anyone at all. I would never do that. And I do always search for whoever came up with the theory and try and credit them, but I'm really bad at like sourcing stuff. But yeah, I'm really not trying to steal anything. I'm just literally giving my own opinion on these theories. So yeah, okay, so that's everything for today, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. I'll be back soon. I do have my part 2 of Mystical Creatures of Westeros planned to film later this evening. So if you haven't seen the first part, go and check it out. As always, if you did enjoy, please like and subscribe. And I will be back soon with that video. And I have another theory video planned for later in the week as well. So yeah, I'll see you soon, guys. Bye!